we may have gained a perspective on the nature of celestial phenomena that allows us to experience things like eclipses without suffering terror or anxiety about the imminent future. But nonetheless, right up until the early modern period, you can even find this in the poetry of the Romantics and after, right up into the early period, even those who knew this still saw that regularity as somehow having a kind of fated quality to it, in which it also indicated the turning of fortune's wheel, so to speak. And perhaps a liberation from that terror is one of the things we've gained in having, at least since the scientific revolution of the 17th century, distanced ourselves from cosmic phenomena in that way and begun to think of them as more mechanical events. A considerable and in many ways unfortunate disenchantment as well. That is that we've embraced in the modern period a kind of metaphysics of dead matter, the notion that the cosmos around us is essentially dead, that life is a sort of anomaly in the midst of death and consciousness more so, and that the world out there doesn't have any presence to us as something that speaks to us, that sends us signs and portents, but instead we see it as simply a great reserve of material resources to be exploited, or mechanical phenomena to be calculated, or natural perils or obstacles to be averted or surmounted, but not as something that engages us spiritually, imaginatively, poetically, and morally. And to me, that's a great impoverishment, and to a great extent explains why we're able to destroy the natural order around us with such ease of conscience, because we don't see it as the habitation of numinous powers, or of spiritual depth of reality, or of the deeper grounds of consciousness, something that we're responsible for. We see it as something to be mastered and exploited. And I think that's a great tragedy, and it's very much part of the tragedy of late modernity and the sort of consumerist and insatiably consumerist, I should say, culture we've created that's just a ceaseless engine of material production and acquisition. It's only from the early modern period onward that the turning of the heavens, the turning of the wheel of fortune are discriminated from one another. We separate the realm of spirit and consciousness and even meaning into a sphere separate from a world of mechanical force, motion, impetus, and causality. That's sort of the unique mythology of the modern age, that these events mean nothing because, in a sense, the very reality of the cosmos around us means nothing. There's been a kind of disenchantment, a kind of alienation from the natural reality, in which originally nature itself has also a world of intelligible symbols and meanings. Those cultural symbols allowed for direct participation, a sense that the natural and the cultural were not on two sides of a partition, but were one continuous reality of participation and communion and communication. We're trying to retain some sense of reverence before nature that has to be a practice of mind, almost a discipline of the will in order to achieve it. And I think that for most of us, more and more, we see all these things as interesting, even spectacular, but ultimately meaningless and ordinary. Because, you see, the whole natural order, if we think of it with a sufficiently open mind, if we allow ourselves to cease calculating and seeking power and control and egoistic desire, we are at times aware of a kind of wonder, one that we all felt at times as children, but tend to forget or press out of mind, a sort of wonder at the sheer there-ness and beauty and strangeness of the world. And we lose that as we age, and we also have lost that as we've aged as a culture. And if we possess it, then every phenomenon, every natural phenomenon would already be extraordinary to us. The thing that's shocking now as moderns is even phenomena that are genuinely extraordinary in the sense that they fall well out of the normal course of events day to day, like a solar eclipse. Even that evokes little wonder in us. So it's not so. How much less the world that we deal with every day, the world that I think if we were more healthy in our view of reality would speak to us and make moral demands on us and tell us that a life lived entirely for material production and consumption and gain, no matter what it destroys, no matter what it kills, is insane and evil. You need that capacity for wonder, and I think we have reached a point where even the most extraordinary things. I mean, if the sun turns purple tomorrow, our mechanistic habit of thought will say will not be. It will be, surprise, but it won't be the sort of surprise that says, this is significant of something. It would be what series of mechanical causes led to this phenomenal effect. I tend to think that does not presage well for the future in that sense. Again, it is an ill omen in the negative now. It's our inability to be shocked by it and see it as an omen that's most ominous.
Really reminded me of Blake, Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience, and that idea of the child and being able to, the poet is the child, according to Blake, right? It's about the person who can go back to that innocent state, and maybe that's what we need, and to save ourselves.
The image of the children at play is an image of our entire life in this world. If like the poet, we can have that innocent eye and be the child who knows the world we're in before we're called home.